Hi, I'm Terry Naturally,
And I'm Dr. Lynn Wagner.
and I have over 50 years of experience and knowledge in health and nutrition.
And I'm a medical doctor with a passion for holistic health. We come together to offer you unique viewpoints and expertise as health advocates around topics that deal with today's health concerns.
And always for your good health. So let's get into today's topic.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing?
Great, how are you?
Fantastic. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know, I missed you.
What have you been doing?
Well, we had summer, so busy with the kids and fun times and a lot of work and busy at the clinic and things like that.
Yeah, in Wisconsin, you got to take care of the summer
You
because
do.
we don't have too much of it.
Exactly. I know, I feel like summer comes and it's just crazy. You're just trying to get everything in.
I was in Florida last week. It's 90 degrees, and here you can feel fall already.
I know.
It's like in the 50s
I know.
and 60s already.
It's beautiful.
Wow, it's going by fast.
It is.
So what's going on nutritionally?
Well, you'd be curious to know that I've been reading a lot more about the keto diet and lower carb diets. I know you're a fan of that. So I'm getting more and more convinced about the benefits of that in someone's lifestyle. Not 100%, but for certain conditions and things.
Yeah. In fact, I've been keto for quite a while.
I know.
And I was really strict.
You've loosened up, though.
Oh, I have.
Right.
I have nothing wrong with me, so I don't need to be that strict.
Agreed.
And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are afraid of the keto diet because it's so strict.
Right.
But I think you can loosen it up a little bit
I agree.
and be more flexible. And, my carbs are down to 10 to 20 grams a day.
Oh, my gosh.
When most people are like 500.
Right.
So that's a huge, huge change. So, I probably multiply that by 10. I'm probably up to about 75 to 100.
Quite a bit.
But I do it all from fruits and vegetables
Right.
and not grains.
Okay.
And it totally changed. I feel fantastic.
What did you notice? How did you improve with that?
Energy levels.
Okay.
Just feel better. I'm in really good health. I don't really have anything wrong with me.
Right.
So it's really hard to judge, but energy was a big thing. I just felt better, better sense of well-being.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah.
Sharper.
I think that's fantastic. I think, the more I've worked with patients and the more I study and experiment, I would call it, you just see that we're not meant to eat sugar for sure, obviously.
Oh, obviously.
We're not meant
Yes.
to eat refined carbohydrates.
That's all sugar.
Right. So
People don't realize that the bread you eat or the pasta or the cookies and the candies, they know sugar.
Right.
But the carbohydrate, well, isn't it all good for us? Because fat's bad for us, right? We shouldn't be eating fat. So let's eat carbs.
Right.
And all the carbs are sugar. They
Right.
turn into fat. The same fat we were told not to eat. The carbs turn into the same fat. So why do we get fat? Not because of fat. We get fat because of carbohydrates.
Exactly.
So 50% of Americans are fat.
Yeah. I mean, you just walk through the grocery store and see the food we're eating, see the cereals we're feeding our children, the Go-Gurts, the sugar cereals, it's I'm to the point now where I used to tell my patients, like, hey, you have to have fun. Let's be moderate about this. Enjoy life. But I realized that we've actually, as a society, become brainwashed by big food companies, making us think that these foods are okay when they're not even okay. They're actually toxins. They're poisons.
Right.
So us encouraging our kids or allowing our kids to drink sugar soda, eat sugar cereal, sugar-laden yogurts is really no different than allowing them to smoke cigarettes.
I agree. And this might be a stretch, but I'm convinced that violence and all the things that are mentally crazy that's going on are all based on what we're eating.
It's not a stretch at all. I mean, I can tell you, working in the urgent care, and I have families who come in and the kids are bouncing all over the room and they're distracted and they're, you can tell their brains just aren't working well.
Right.
And they're drinking a Mountain Dew and it's not judging that family. They don't know any better. This is what they've been told is okay. This is what is plastered all over the billboards. This is what is,
and nobody wants
made
them
to look like it's normal.
Nobody wants to make them knowledgeable of it.
Right.
Nobody wants to educate them.
Right.
Food manufacturers don't.
No.
Drug companies don't because drug companies only make money on sick people.
Right.
So let's keep everybody sick.
Right.
You go into a supermarket and a grocery store and you have one aisle of fruits and vegetables. You have 10 to 12 aisles
of processed
packaged foods that are not even natural.
No.
They're made out of sugar and carbohydrates and vegetable oils. and coloring and flavoring, and it's not natural. It's not even food anymore.
Right. And that's where, for me, I'm kind of, I would say, evolving as I go through time and my practice and working with patients. To my tolerance for that is a lot less. And it's almost painful,
right?
Because it's such a big boulder to move. It's such a big thing to awaken people to. So it's kind of,
and with all this bad diet is causing a tremendous amount of stress, because the body doesn't have any resilience to withstand stress.
Right.
We can't get away of stress. It's always going to be there.
Right.
But we should be able to cope with stress.
Correct.
And do it successfully.
Right.
But the body isn't strong enough to do that. So everything is a crisis, not stressful. It's a crisis.
Right.
So
it's emotional. Ups and downs.
And what happens then?
Reactivity.
Our cortisol levels go sky high.
Right.
And when our cortisol levels go sky high, we have a tremendous amount of stress. We have all kinds of other conditions that occur that are diseases. We eat too much to try to reduce the stress.
Right.
But I came across what I think of, which I like, and I don't take it because I'm stressed out. I don't feel stressed out, but I love DHEA.
Right. Well, and DHEA, I mean, your levels are normally going to decline anyway after a certain age.
Right.
So.
But as our cortisol levels go up, the DHEA goes down. Mm-hmm. And one of the best ways to control and manage the cortisol is to take DHEA.
I agree.
I find it really good it's a hormone.
Right.
And it's one of the master hormones made from pregnenolone, which is really the
mother
of all hormones, and it makes DHEA. But I find it really good I wouldn't give it to a child, of course.
No.
I wouldn't give it to anybody, probably younger than 20.
Right.
But for people that are stressed out, that don't feel well, that have severe menopause, challenged with depression, I think everybody could use DHEA.
Right. And I can tell you that I do a lot of hormone testing on a lot of my patients. And for sure, people over the age of 40 and 50, their DHEA levels are across the board usually low.
Right.
And the older they get, the lower they're going to be. And so I definitely agree with you. And I think it's low. And I think the reason it's low in so many people is that we have a society that makes us hormonally not super healthy, whether it's stress or the diet we eat or our toxins, our environment, et cetera, et cetera. Like our hormones are really hard to keep optimized. And just with natural aging, they're going to go down, right?
They do, yep.
And so like you said, if you take some of it, it will help increase your body's levels, obviously, and help you feel better. I always like to be careful, though, with patients so they understand, like you said, it's part of a pathway. So pregnenolone is the mother hormone. It becomes DHEA. And then DHEA can become testosterone. It can become estrogen. So there's all these metabolites that can happen. So in someone who maybe has, hormone-sensitive breast cancer, or they need to be careful kind of like monitoring their levels,
yep.
Or at least being aware that they're taking a hormone, because it is available over the counter,
right.
Which I think that always surprises me. But it also it's a hormone. So it's not something to take lightly, but I think it is a very, very powerful thing.
And the right dosage.
And the right dosage.
Yes.
Yeah. Some people take, just mega doses of it.
Not necessary.
You need just these nice little whiff. I call them whiff doses, just a little whiff, right?
What I've seen from most of the research, and they've gone up to 100 milligrams a day in some scientific research, but I'm not saying that people should take 100 milligrams a day, but this was research. But for women, 15 to 25 milligrams daily, and for men up to about 50 milligrams daily is a good dosage.
Yeah. And I think oral is the best way to take it.
Oh, yeah.
So I sometimes will do it in a cream, but the cream doesn't seem to absorb very well.
Yeah, it doesn't do very well.
So
it's too big of a molecule.
It is, right. So the other hormones work great if you do them transdermally or if you do them in some injections and things like that. And a lot of the hormones are not good orally. So I don't ever recommend people take testosterone or estrogen orally, because
or cream. I don't find cream works either for me.
Okay, so some patients, the cream works fine for those too, but DHEA is definitely one that I think the best
orally.
Orally is the best.
Yep, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Yep. And it does really help men who are, aging. It builds stronger muscles, gives better overall health. It increases testosterone, which again increases muscle strength as well.
Right.
And better structure, better sleep. It improves the entire function of our body.
Yeah, and I think it's a good option for people if they don't want to go quite to that next step of doing actually hormone replacement, like full hormone replacement. It's a nice step before that, even if you don't want to go to see a doctor who does bioidentical hormone replacement or anything like that.
Right. And start smaller
Right.
with a lesser dosage and just see how well you do and give yourself a little bit of time. And I've had a lot of women who are experiencing menopause and they've tried everything. And I put them on just a very small dosage of DHEA, like 5 to 15 milligrams, and they just sail right through menopause.
Well, and you usually recommend taking DHEA with some other things as well, correct?
Oh yeah, I do. For women, black gouache.
Right.
For menopause.
Yep.
Even there's some really good research now on folate.
Right.
Folate is the biologically active form of folic acid.
Right.
They have gotten very good results. So it's a combination of things.
Right.
There may be not one thing that works, but sometimes the combination works really good.
Right.
It just synergistically they support one another.
Right. And I also think when my menopausal women, I also tell them we look at the metabolites of these things. So DHEA is one of the precursor hormones. It's early up in the chain, but we also want to look at what's happening at the very end. So what's happening once their hormones are, what happens with their estrogen, what happens with their estrogen metabolites? Are they good metabolizers, which is based on genetics and a lot of other things. But, and that's when you get into things we were talking before about DIM and I3C, and
they're all very good.
All very good things where they're not anything your traditional doctor is going to tell you about. That's the shocker.
Well,
like no one is going to tell them about this stuff.
Well, they don't know about it either.
Exactly. No, right.
I mean, they're just as blinded as everybody else.
Right.
When you go through med school, it's all drug therapy.
All drug therapy.
Yeah. The drug companies subsidize the universities. They initiate the curriculum for the doctors.
Right.
They come out there and they're drug therapists.
Right.
So and it's not bad.
Right.
Because we save lives with drugs.
We do.
In emergency and a crisis.
We do.
But we can't live on drugs.
No.
We live on food.
We I always tell my patients too, if also you're taking 30, 40 supplements a day, there's probably something else you should be doing too. So it goes both ways, I think. But the drug therapy, patients just they're just led to think that these pills will just take care of everything, so they're not willing to make the changes in their lifestyle they need to make, eat the correct food, move their body. And I don't want to say they're not willing to, they're not taught this whole new way of living.
Right.
You're born, you go through life, you just think that this is the way to live. These are the foods to eat. This is the way you should move your body. This is the way you should work. Maybe be at a desk all day and lay around and watch TV at night and on the weekends. And that's just the way a lot of people live.
Right.
And then it's okay, we'll just fix all your ailments and all your pains and aches and your diseases with some pills now. And it's depressing. It's not a way to live. There's no joy in that kind of life.
Right.
So, and I'm going on a total tangent here, but we have to make a shift.
Oh,
we have to. And it's like for personally and professionally, I'm getting to the point where I don't care anymore about what other people think about me in the medical profession. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was always a little more timid. I don't want to bash the medical system and talk about drugs are bad and things like that. But I'm like you, where they're necessary. I prescribe them sometimes. They're useful tools as part of the healing process, but the majority of it should not be medicinal.
The foundation should be medicinal. It's food. Food is your best medicine.
Yes.
And really, when you think about it, the most powerful drug in the world, because it can build your health or destroy your health.
Right.
Just because of what you're eating.
Right.
What you put in your body.
I know. I think about like the brain, right? So, and I know you know this feeling. I'm assuming you've had a point in time in the last couple of years where you've had a bunch of sugar, maybe once.
Not for a long,
Not for a long time.
I can't even remember when.
Well, okay, so he might not know how this feels, but you guys all know how it feels if you've had a bunch of sugar or you eat a huge pasta meal or drink too much alcohol, and then the whole next day your brain just feels like a cloud's in it or like pillows, right? And the circuits just are a little slower. It's a little bit like molasses. There's a little bit of brain fog going on. Your recall isn't as good. You forget names. Like that's not the way we're supposed to be, right?
Well, but most people are like that all the time.
Most people feel like that all the time. You know, there's a reason why we're seeing higher rates of Alzheimer's and dementia, right? And it's not genetics.
Oh, wait a minute. We need a drug for that.
Right. There's a reason why COVID is killing so many people, right?
Right.
There's a reason why all the chronic, I could go on and on.
Well, so can I. And, if we really would get down to it, and I'm convinced if we go into COVID and talk a little bit about COVID, it's still diet. The health of the immune system is the same as the health of the body.
Right.
And there is a tremendous amount of research on a number of ingredients, like 4 vitamins and 2 minerals, that are required medically by the immune system to be healthy.
Right.
And some of the research on like selenium is unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
For actually, if they show this in human studies and also animal studies, that in fact I'm digressing from where we were, but it's okay because
it's been a while. We have a lot to talk about.
Right. You're cutting it all into 15 minutes.
Right.
But the studies with humans and animals on selenium, they took a group of humans or animals, gave them a well-fed diet with selenium. Then they had another group of the same human and animals, and they were on a diet without any selenium. And then they were injected with a virus. Those with high levels of selenium, based on what is natural, not high, but they survived. They had a mild to moderate illness. They recovered very nicely. They were able to tolerate it. Those that were on a diet with deficiency of selenium, when the virus got into them, it became virulent. It became lethal or deadly. And then it killed them. 90% of the animals died in the one study. And so we have a lot of death. Could it be a lack of selenium? I think it could be. And then that virus that gets into that person and becomes virulent, that's mutation. That's where a mutated virus comes from, is in the human. And then it goes on to somebody else. And now it's this deadly virus because it was made virulent in Mr. Johnson. Now it's going on to Mrs. Jones. And she gets the virulent strain because it came from the other gentleman that made it stronger because he lacked the selenium. And we're not talking about health and nutrition. We're talking about always vaccines and drugs.
Right. And it's no different than everything else in medicine. So it's the pathology happens, and then we use a product or chemical or whatever, a drug, to quench the pathology or the problem. But the pathology still exists underneath the Band-Aid.
Right.
That's just what it is. And then the Band-Aid works for a while, and then it starts to tear off a little bit or fray or weaken, and then you need another Band-Aid on top of it. And that one weakens, need another Band-Aid, and then we end up with the patients who come in on 20 prescription medications.
Right.
And a boatload of side effects and a really terrible quality of life. Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. So you can imagine in my situation, as someone who works with my patients in my integrative practice, and then I do some work in an urgent care where I see really like the normal part of society and how sick they are and how unhealthy and how unaware they are that there's a completely different way. So it can be hard at times.
When patients
and this is me coming off of like 12 days of work in a row. So I get a little disgruntled. And then tomorrow morning I'll be like, okay, I'm going to go save the world again.
Okay, well, you need a break.
Yeah.
So how many, what percentage of people that come to you would be open to say, okay, maybe diet will change my life?
In my integrative practice, a lot. So I have a few stragglers who are very resistant to change, who are just like, nope, I really don't want to change that stuff about myself. But that's very few. Then there's a lot of people who know they need to change, and it makes sense to them, but it's the behavioral part of it that's really, really hard. And I know that myself.
Food is addictive.
So addictive. And then I have some people who are just, they've got it. They've mastered it. They just need, a couple of tune-ups here and there.
Yeah. Sugar is as addictive as cocaine.
Yeah. And that's what I don't think. People don't realize that. They don't realize that at all. They just think that, I need this. My body needs this. It's craving it. And they don't realize that it's a pure addiction.
Yeah. I got to go back to it because I miss it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's drawing me back.
Right. And the classic example is me when I'm doing a clinic day. I have Saruji's chocolate right next door.
Yeah.
Which is delicious chocolate. And
a chocolate factory next to the doctor's office.
Yes, and it never fails. If I started to let myself have a little bit of sugar here and there, 2:00 in the afternoon, my brain starts going, Cerugi's. And then if I have a little break, I might walk over there and buy a couple dark chocolate turtles because it's dark chocolate, so I figure it's good. But it's an addiction.
Right.
And then you get a little bit of a boost of energy because it's in the afternoon. That's when your cortisol is crashing, so you desire a little bit of a boost of energy, and then you have the crash that happens after that.
Yeah.
So it's plain and simple. And some people, it's not just a little bit in the afternoon. It's just a constant, steady stream of sugar all day long.
Everything they eat is sugar-laden.
Right.
Because what can you find in a grocery store but sugar?
Right.
Except if you go through the fruit and vegetables and maybe some dairy and some meat.
Right.
But otherwise, everything is just sugar-laden.
Just sugar.
I mean, in the early 1900s, we were eating about 4 to 6 pounds of sugar per individual per year.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's close to 250 pounds of sugar.
Right.
How can you eat, where is all that sugar? I mean, if some people even swear when I tell them that, no, I don't have a sugar bowl at home. I don't even buy sugar. But look at what the manufacturers are using. They're using all kinds of various forms of sugar.
Right, like the
when
corn
they make
syrups and the
high fructose corn syrup,
right.
glucose, fructose, sucrose. I mean, they're using it all. Agave, honey, maple syrup. I mean, it's a way of life. Sugar is a way of life for us.
It is. And people don't even know how to not eat sugar. Like they don't think food tastes good that's not sweetened anymore.
Oh, yeah.
I think about Raisin bran. That's a perfect example. You have raisins that are dipped in a white powdery, they're white and powdery.
Sugary.
Because they're sugar.
Sugary raisins.
Sugary raisins, which raisins are already a very sugary food.
Right. And they're dried, so it's even more.
Even more. So it's concentrated, and then you dip it in some more sugar. So, and we just get used to thinking like that's what food should taste like.
So we have offered a lot of information.
We have.
And maybe we should let them digest all this information first. So we'll come back with more.
Next time we'll come back with more of an action plan, not just a ranting.
I think I like ranting. I like to talk about all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
Because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
If you talk 15, 20 minutes on one thing, it's like, did I really accomplish anything?
Right. Well, you know what I always say? I say anger is hidden passion. So when I start to get really, really angry, which I'm at that point right now with the food industry, it's just my hidden passion. So
Hey, that's all right.
I'm on a wild chase right now after that. That's what I'm all about.
It's good. I love it.
Stop the sugar madness.
Everybody stop the sugar madness.
Yeah, stop it.
Reduce your carbohydrates. I swear that if somebody really, really wanted to be well, really, they have to want to be.
They do.
They have to have the discipline.
Mm-hmm.
If they reduce their carbohydrates down to 75 to 100 grams, no sugar, fruits and vegetables as their forms of carbohydrates, good quality protein, both animal and plant, no grains, and good fats. In 3 or 4 months, they will see such change that they'll know it's worth it.
They will. They'll feel like their life is worth living.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I see. People come back and they're like, I am happy. I have energy. I have joy.
Yeah, my pain is gone. My arthritis
is gone.
Because all these foods are inflammatory.
Right.
And we have inflammation. 98% of all our disease is anti-inflammatory conditions.
Right. Yeah, so. They sleep better. But for some people, DHEA is a nice way to also
bring down that cortisol. Yes. So it reduces the stress. You need DHEA today.
I do. Oh, for sure. Actually, I have been taking my vitamins. You'd be proud of me. But I think, all this food stuff is great. And then we have these adjunctive things that we can do, but more natural things, take DHEA, natural hormone, take what the body, fish oil, selenium,
take what the body
natural
needs.
Natural augmenting the healthy diet.
That is a natural way to mend the body.
Right.
Where synthetic drugs that have never been on the face of the earth until they're made in a laboratory. And we don't know the outcome of them long term. And, go back to food. That's where the platform should be.
I agree. Well, good time as always.
We're going to come back to this again another time. So I want you to have a fantastic day.
Thank you. You too.
Absolutely fantastic.